Hello. Greetings, relatives. Ometeo. My name is Chichiptek. I'm part of the Kalpuli Ayolo Boxling here in Yanaguana in Somisek territories. Um, Feeling really grateful to be surrounded by people who care, by our queer and trans relatives. Um, First, want to take a moment to call in the ancestors of these lands, all of your beloved ancestors who you're carrying with you, your guides or guardians, your beautiful spirits. You're here on Somisek territories, original name being Dianahuana and Somisek of the Estokna and Carizo-Comecrudo people. These have been migratory lands for all various types of tribes and peoples all over, and it will continue to be a land and a place of migratory peoples. If you feel it in your heart, I want to guide us into opening up the 4 directions together. The east over here. And so what we're going to do is ask permission of the 4 directions, moving with everything with consent and with intention, with love. And so we'll call into the direction of the east, the direction of Quetzalcoatl, of the wind, of sacred masculinity, of enlightenment. Inse Ashkan, en Tlatoplallolis, Tlahuizlampa, Chaneque, en Cali, Quetzalcoatl, At Ejecat, Tlali, Tled, Ometeo. And we'll turn to the direction of the west, where the sun sets, the direction of transformation, of sacrifice, of the red sky, of sacred femininity, where things go to transform and transmute, Ometeo. En Ome Ashkan, en Tlataplaloli Sihuatlampa, Chaneque, en Cali Xipetotec, Ad Ejecat, Tle, Ometeo. And next we'll turn to the direction of the north. Asking permission of the direction of the north, of the direction of our ancestors, those who came before us, the direction of fire, asking permission to open the space. En Yei Ashkan, en Tlataplaloli Mixclan, Chaneque, en Cali Tezcatlipoca, At Ejecat Tlali Tle, Ometeo. Then we'll turn to the direction of the south. In the direction of the south, honoring our warrior selves, our willpower, our child selves as well, the direction of water. Inawi Ashkan, en Tlataplallolis, Huitzlampa, Chaneque, en Cali, Huitzilopochtli, At Ejecat Tlali Tle, Ometeo. We'll turn over and we're going to be facing the center now. So the center of Father Sky, of Grandmother Moon, of Father Sun as well, asking for a Creator to protect us, to have an orb around us, protecting us here today and when we go home as well. En Macuili Ashkan, en Tlataplallolis, Omeyocan, Chaneque, en Cali Tatatonatiu, en Anametzli, At Ejecat Tlali Tlen, Ometeo. We'll turn around and go to the direction of the earth. If you're able, we'll put our knees and our heads to the earth as well. Asking permission in the direction of Mother Earth, of Mother Earth, asking her for permission. May she ground us and allow us to sink our umbilical cord down to Mother Earth, to feel her warmth and her vibration, asking her forgiveness for all of the wrongs that we have done to this earth. En Chicuase Ashkan, en Tlataplallolis Huechimalma, Chaneque, en Cali Tlalitonantzin Patlique, Chalchihuitlique, At Ejecat Tlali Tle. And in our final direction, it will be towards each other. If you can meet the eyes of each other and to look each other in the eyes. This is the seventh direction, the direction of I am you are me, you are my other me. The direction of asking us to show up as our authentic selves. May our hearts always match our face. En Chicome Ashkan, en Tlataplallolis, Ometeo, Chaneque, en Cali, in Lakesh, en Tloque Nahuaque, en Pale Moani, en Itzli, en Yolotzi, Tlaxocamati, Ometeo. Thank you all so much for showing up with love and just taking a stand, for our relative here. I have a statement from our Kalpuli, and then love to pass it on to our relatives here from AIT. On behalf of the Kalpuli Ailopaxlin, we as an indigenous queer community are devastated by the persistent threats that led to the murder of our relative Jonathan Joss. The constant harassment and trauma that he and his partner endured on these occupied lands for the simple and beautiful act of loving each other is a testament to the growing animosity that plagues the city of San Antonio. When hate goes unchecked and funding continues to be wasted on a police department that is biased, unfair, and unbothered by the violence that queer BIPOC communities endure in our neighborhoods. We extend our sincerest condolences, love, and support to Jonathan's family and loved ones and his partner, Tristan. We extend our prayers and support and peace to the cardinal directions and are at your service with open arms, honoring the sacred elements with all of our armor and heart as Indigenous peoples living on ancestral Somisec territories as intertribal kin. With sacred rage and deep sorrow, we demand that Phyllis Vallagran, the district representative where Jonathan and Tristan resided, to make actionable efforts and stand with LGBTQ Two-Spirit peoples. On the south side, and as for SAPD, to be accountable to their lack of care and urgency in taking action in investigating and following up with the continuous threats Jonathan and Tristan endured as a part of the LGBTQ and as BIPOC community in San Antonio. This is a hate crime, and SAPD enables this crime by not taking action and not staying vigilant to this hate. We demand justice for Jonathan Joss. We ask those who are complicit, who are silent, and who are bystanders. We ask those who are homophobic, who are transphobic, to listen deeply and to reflect. Our queer love is not a threat. It is a gift that teaches us all to love to the fullest extent of our divine hearts and as human beings. We invite our neighbors to organize and connect with each other and create webs and networks of safety and emergency response to protect and embrace each other as our LGBTQ Two-Spirit community. We challenge our neighbors to ask themselves, how is someone expressing themselves and their love authentically a threat to you? Why do violent thoughts emerge why do violent thoughts emerge, and where do they come from for simply witnessing love that looks differently than how you love? Who does it serve when you lash out with violence towards someone who loves differently than you? What parts of yourself are you neglecting and hating that you don't allow you to accept that love is love? We all deserve to love. We all deserve to live. Thank you. Kalpulgalopaxli stands in solidarity with and resistance as queer, matriarchal, Two-Spirit Indigenous community with Jonathan and with Tristan, and with all of our LGBTQ Two-Spirit relatives hurting at this time. We are not alone, and we are sacred. So, thank you for listening.
Good evening, relatives. Thank you all for being here tonight and showing up in love, community, and remembrance. Before we start, I do want to take a pause and acknowledge the pain, the grief, and the loss of Jonathan, but also to celebrate the love and the life that he shared with others. to Jonathan's husband, Tristan, to his family, his friends, and his loved ones, and all of the community members around him, we stand here with you to support, care for, and wrap our arms around you, providing energy, care, and love every step of the way. My name is Jordan Galvan, and today I stand with you not only as an Indigenous person, but also as a fellow member of the LGBTQIA two-spirit community. While I didn't have the privilege of knowing Jonathan personally, the weight of his loss is felt extremely deeply. Maya and I are here today on behalf of American Indians in Texas at the Spanish Colonial Missions, united in grief, solidarity, community, and care for our relatives. We come with heavy hearts, like many of you here, not only because we've lost someone special to our communities, but because we recognize that Jonathan's story is not an isolated one. It reflects a larger pattern of injustice, neglect, and pain that our communities face across the nation every day. Jonathan was more than the roles that he played. He was a proud Indigenous man, a member of the LGBTQIA two-spirit community, a relative, a friend, a storyteller, and an individual that brought visibility, warmth, and truth wherever he went. He showed up for us, he stood with us in efforts to nourish the healing and safety and wellness of our communities. His life mattered deeply, and the care that he deserved, like so many others, must be rooted in community, grounded in identity, and driven by the intention to heal and help our people thrive, not surface-level care meant to check a box, failing to see an entire person for who they are. We're talking about responsive, relational care that is led by those who reflect their communities, similar to the people who are here today, to your presence here today. We must continue to put our community members and their stories at the forefront. And we must ensure the inclusion of care from Indigenous-led and LGBTQIA two-spirit affirming care and crisis intervention. We must hold these institutions accountable and ensure that our communities are not invisible, underserved, or left unprotected. Tonight, we light these candles for Jonathan and every relative that we've lost to violence and silence. Now, I'd like to pass the microphone on to someone that I deeply respect, not only as my colleague, but as my dear friend and integral community member who shares the weight and the responsibility of this work alongside all of us. We stand here today with you. We stand here tomorrow with you. We are always with you. So, Maya, I would like for you to continue that conversation.
Good evening, friends, relatives, and community. Thank you for coming together tonight to honor the life and memory of Jonathan Joss. I come to you this evening as a community member first and foremost, as an Indigenous member of the LGBTQIA two-spirit community, and also as the community engagement coordinator and the lead for our Pilam Taptayi initiative. Thank you. The initiative that leads all of our work around missing and murdered Indigenous women and people. Tonight, I want to speak to you both from the heart, and I want to express the deep commitment of our organization to our Native and LGBTQIA two-spirit relatives. Jonathan's death is a devastating loss, but it is also a clear reflection of a larger ongoing crisis, the epidemic of missing and murdered Indigenous women, people, two-spirit, and girls. This is a truth that too few have named, even as it affects so many of us. Naming Jonathan's death as a part of this epidemic is not just about words, it's about demanding accountability and justice. Failing to name this protects the systems that failed him and the systems that fail all of our Indigenous relatives who have gone missing or been harmed without justice. While violence against Indigenous women and girls is rightly emphasized, we must also recognize and acknowledge that Indigenous men, Two-Spirit, transgender, and gender diverse people face profound violence and injustice. I want to share a few startling statistics with you all. I ask you to hear them, to consider them, to not forget them, and to remember that each number represents not only that individual, but all of their loved ones as well. Nearly 10,000 cases of missing Indigenous people in the United States were reported by the FBI in 2020 alone. Over 81% of Indigenous men experience violence in their lifetime. 75.2% of Indigenous men will face physical assault in their lifetime. And nearly 1 in 5 Indigenous men will experience stalking in their lifetime. Trans and Two-Spirit Indigenous relatives face even higher rates of violence, 73% reporting intimate partner violence, and 65% reporting sexual assault in their lifetimes. Jonathan's situation was escalating for years, with 74 calls to police about his home, including a potential case of arson. Yet no culturally responsive intervention or referrals were made to Indigenous or LGBTQIA 2S+ organizations to this date that we know of. If this is the response to a high-profile community member, what happens to those who remain invisible? What happens to those who never report? Those who report but are never taken seriously, and those who never even have the chance? With over 60,000 Indigenous people living here in Bexar County, it is unacceptable that our community continues to be underserved and unprotected. We, at the American Indians in Texas at the Spanish colonial missions, stand committed to working with our relatives, community leaders, and partners to push for the change that Jonathan's case demands. Accountability, culturally competent care, respectful intervention, and justice for all Indigenous and LGBTQIA Two-Spirit relatives. Tonight, we mourn Jonathan's loss, but we also renew our resolve to fight for every relative who faces violence and neglect. Let this be more than a moment of mourning. Let it be a promise that we will remember, protect, and act. To Jonathan's family and friends, we hold you in our hearts. Your grief is our grief. Your fight is our fight. May Jonathan's spirit be at peace. May we find strength in each other, and may we carry forward this call for justice together. Thank you. We're going to switch mics here quickly, and then I have the honor of passing the mic to my friend and my colleague, Isaiah.
Yes, can everybody hear me okay? And I just want to look upon all of you here in the circle today, really just to ground me, I mean, this has been such a shocking and surreal story to me on a very personal level. I have a trans sibling. Jonathan was killed on the first day of Pride Month. I work with an organization which aims to preserve and restore Indigenous values in this city. I work with our Fatherhood campaign. I provide counseling and education for those who are victims and perpetrators of family violence and intimate partner violence. And speaking for myself, you know, I'm not even like a huge King of the Hill fan, right? But the fact that this comes right on the cusp of the new reboot or the new season, right? I mean, all these factors together, you really just cannot make up this situation. But for myself, the most shocking part of Jonathan's killing, aside from the loss of Jonathan himself, for myself, the most shocking part has been the perpetrator, Zigredo Ceja Alvarez. And I'll share why. I won't go into much detail, but to say that While I never met the man himself, the perpetrator, I was once close with one of his children, in fact. This is years ago in the past. I haven't spoken to this person in many years. But when I saw the perpetrator's name, when I saw his photo, when I saw the street address in the side of town, and when I saw even local people online defending him and speaking of his hobbies, I knew. I have a first-hand account from somebody who was raised in this man's home that he was an angry man. He was a controlling man. He was an objectifying man. He had this machismo which is so deeply branded into our communities. And I share this to say that this is the ultimate result of when people do not allow themselves to be held accountable by those within their circle. Because for myself and my work, I work with many men who have committed immense harm unto their families and unto their loved ones. And they didn't take someone's life, but they may have been 1 second away from ending someone's life. But some of these very men have been equally and positively shocking in seeing them take accountability for their actions, seeing them acknowledge their harm committed, and seeing them change their ways before it ends in a life lost. This is what happens when there is not healing amongst conquered and colonized people, that we seek to conquer others. There's so many intersecting identities and intersecting oppressions within the killing of Jonathan Joss. Even online, you can see the far right pick up this story to push anti-immigrant or anti-Mexican rhetoric. Just to put all this into perspective for what I have to say. Hold those in your circle accountable by wanting what is best for them. And all of you here, allow yourself to be held accountable by those in your circle whenever you have committed a harm. Because this here, this is the ultimate result of a man who is escaping years of accountability from his very own family. Swallow pride, because along with this systemic failures and homophobia, it was a result of avoiding accountability. We need healing in our city. This is no way to put our city on such a large stage. But police and prisons will not bring healing to our city. Accountability circles and accountability processes bring healing. Bring healing. Hold those in your circle accountable. All of you, allow yourself to be held accountable. Seek out those who work in healing and accountability. And that's what I have to say. Rest in peace and power to our descendant and now ancestor, Jonathan Joss.
Thank you, relatives. Thank you all so much for being here. Thank you for holding space. My name is Erika. I use they, them pronouns, and I work at the Pride Center San Antonio as the program manager. I'm going to speak a few words before we open it up to Jonathan's loved ones who are here holding space with us today to share about his memory. So I'll try to not take up too much time. Hello. Thank you so much for joining us tonight in memory of Jonathan Joss and in support of Tristan. We are here to show solidarity, support, healing, and connection. But most importantly, we are here to call on city officials to conduct a thorough investigation into the murder and the violent and brutal end of Jonathan Joss's life, and the traumatizing stress endured by our trans relative Tristan, and the wound in our community that deepens with each relative lost or impacted by homophobia, transphobia, racism, xenophobia, and so on. I'm here to share with you that Jonathan is one of our many queer, trans, two-spirit, Native, Indigenous peoples who have gone murdered or missing. We are here in solidarity with our two-spirit, our queer, our trans, our Native, and Indigenous communities because these traumatic and violent realities intersect for all of us. We all live with intersectional identities, and I firmly believe that our strength comes from this beautiful interconnectedness we are seeing right now among people of all backgrounds coming together and showing support and community for Jonathan. Let's remember Jonathan for his incredible contributions he made with his significant impacts in artistry, with animated television, film, music. He was known as a cultural worker, honoring and representing his Native heritage and community. Jonathan also loved his companion animals. He was a dog dad and cared very deeply for his furry family members. Jonathan deserved community, culturally competent resources, and compassion. Instead, we are all mourning the violent end he met at the hands of gun violence, homophobia, transphobia, and racism. Jonathan was well known as John Redcorn and King of the Hill. He brought us laughter, he brought us joy and entertainment. He dedicated his life to his role in artistry, and we are thankful for his contributions in which his spirit lives on. Jonathan was a beloved husband to Tristan Kern de Gonzales, and it would be remiss to not acknowledge the major impact that he left on this community and the world. Jonathan deserved to grow old in the comfort of his home on his land, as we are on occupied Indigenous stolen land. And to have that robbed in such a violent manner and to know his murderer sits in the comfort of his home right now is appalling. And it is injustice for all LGBTQ folks who suffer from homophobia, transphobia, and violent acts of harassment and discrimination. I would like to close by reminding us all the meaning of coming together. This is a space for grieving, healing, connection, and action. More work must be done hereafter, and we will carry Jonathan's passionate spirit for his community and his people in the fight for queer, trans liberation, rooted in Black liberation, rooted in Indigenous liberation, and liberation for all people suffering under colonial violence. When one of us is attacked, we fight back. Thank you to our community members, American Indians, and the Spanish colonial missions. We're going to hear from Jonathan's close friends and make space for those impacted and brave enough to use their voices to incite action. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks for coming out. You look great. In the famous words of John Redcorn, the show must go on. And that's where I met him. That's right. Come on, let's hear it. Now, it took an extreme amount of bravery. Right now, my heart is beating out of my chest. But you may know me from nowhere, actually. But I met Jonathan in show business. We were colleagues for many years. And he became one of my greatest friends. But that guy had a big heart. And I only got a short window here before I turned into a crying princess. But I will tell you all, he meant so much to me, and all the hundreds of late nights and early mornings and films and ideas and all the things. He was a generous and creative spirit. He really encouraged the pure exchange, and I see it all in your eyes today. Whether it was a hug or a piece of sausage, he wanted to give what he had, and he wanted you to give him some of what you had. And that was just, that's how you said hi to the guy. Anyway, I'll just continue with this and I'll leave you. We're all here today, and I see everybody here, and we all live in our own realities. We remember that, right? We're all living, breathing, smelling, tasting things totally different. Your reality, my reality is never going to be the same. We can't even scrape to imagine what it feels like to be any one of you sitting or standing or grieving amongst us, and that's where I come in. I want everybody to remind themselves that we're all so different, but we're all here together because something brought us here, man. All of those directions, all those things up there and down here brought us all here together. And we're all here because we can share in that. We can share in the thing called being human. Yeah, we're born human, but today it takes a little bit more. Today you got to try to be a human. You don't just get it out of the gate. It's a little tougher. But we're here all sharing in the spirit. I don't want to get too sidetracked or too emotional. We're here sharing. We're here grieving so differently. I want us all to look around for a minute and look at all these different people that are here. I saw the chief of police here earlier. Billy's a good guy. I saw a lot of different people here. And I'm not standing up or sitting down for anyone. We're creating space to hear these words, which are this. We are all so different, and yet we're all so human. We all grieve so differently. But the temperance and the tolerance for one another is the only thing that will make us human in the end. Thank you very much, you guys.
Thank you.
Thanks everybody for coming out. My name is Joshua. I'm Jonathan's close friend. I'm not really good at this. This is the first time I've ever spoken to this many people before. I guess I can start off. I had written it down, so I'll read it off my phone. I'm going to say here today that, Jonathan, you were not only a great friend, you were my mentor for a long time. And just like any great person in SA, we are proud to call you a brother. You are one awesome, creative, and talented individual. You loved your city, you loved your fans and your friends so much. our food that made San Antonio who we are. You wasted no second to make sure a fan was acknowledged on the phone or a video call. Seeing you do that in person during a barbecue really showcased how you valued your love, your craft, your skill, your job, your passion for art. You fed me on days I didn't have money to eat, man. You told me to come over and chill, shoot the breeze with you. I was alone at the crib, just feeling any type of way. You never forgot how insane our lockdown fish fry orders were, man. COVID drive-through orders were crazy. It was a 9-piece family fish. We did a fried shrimp order. We did a fried oyster. Then he turned around and goes, "Hey, man, how many fish sandwiches would you like?" And I was like, "Man, is this all for us?" And he was like, "Yep." I didn't question it. He had an intention. He had an agenda. It was completely all called for, you know. It was all uncalled for. Or was it, you know? To throwing going away parties for my daughter when she came here, you know, from El Paso on summer breaks. Whenever it ended, he would throw her like a crawfish boil and stuff like that. And it was amazing. Karaoke in the backyard. Hearing him sing Material Girl Madonna with my daughter, it was amazing. I knew Jonathan was gay since 2019. It was, you know, I knew it. You know, man wore dresses because he said he loved the breeze, and there's little things like that. And I didn't bypass it. He was my brother for a reason, and I can care less. There's bigger problems in this world to deal with than how the sexuality is. You know. So with that being said, Texas lost a wonderful human. What has happened in the last week is beyond words I can't describe. During this week, Tristan lost a husband, yes, but he gained probably a quadruple-sized family here today. He didn't know it was coming. Sorry, bro. Sometimes I will be annoying. I'm going to stress you out, but I love you and I'll have your back till the end. You know, with this, Tristan, Jonathan, he's proud of you. He loves you. And I know that you were loved by your husband and you loved your husband very much so. The world lost an amazing soul today and last Sunday. You will always be remembered, Jonathan. I love you, man. I will keep my silliness never locked up. As you always told me, the show must go on. And until the next break, brother, I'll see you after break. Justice for Jonathan.
Hi everybody. Well, it's a little up there. My name is Carlos Zamudio. I'm a film producer in Texas. I had the honor and privilege and the amazing presence of Jonathan Joss in my film, The Race Within. Jonathan played a character that I wrote called Jim Ravenfeather, and I got to tell you, that was one of his most proud moments of his role as possible. Oh, okay, thanks. Not used to being out in the front, I'm always in the back of the cameras. I just want to tell you real quickly with Jonathan, he was a true professional. He was a poet with the way that he carried himself on set. He was a very, very serious actor. He took his role very seriously. He'd ask questions. He made his marks. Jonathan was a true human being who was very kind to everyone on set. He even asked people that were on the crew if they were okay, if they need water, if everybody's fine. Jonathan was a very caring and giving person and an actor. And I just really want to say that all these internet rumors out there that I've been reading about Jonathan and the way he acted sometimes or whatever, all I have to say is we are all human beings and we all are not perfect. Okay? We all have bad days just like everybody else, and you want to just punch your fist through the wall and you just want to just scream and cry, carry on like you're upset. That's just what we do as human beings. The trick is to take that negativity, that anger, that frustration, to flip it and be positive with one another, to be caring with one another. You turn the negative into a positive. And that's what Jonathan did, not only on set, but with the fans and everyone around him. When you got into Jonathan's space, it was like you were enveloped in yellow warmth, light, and love. And that's Jonathan for you. That's the legacy that he would have with anyone. Real quickly before I close, we scheduled a comic book appearance for him the Saturday, the day before he passed, at a comic book store called Tribe Comics in Austin. Jonathan was there to meet the fans, but there were people in there that didn't even know who he was. And I gotta tell you, it was so neat to watch people get enveloped into his aura. because he would go, "Hi, my name is Jonathan Joss. I'm an actor on King of the Hill and blah, blah, blah. Would you like an autograph?" And he was very respectful and very polite about it. And if someone said, "Oh, no, thank you," he'd be like, "Well, thank you very much and have a good day." But the way that he presented himself as a person, you just could not help but be enveloped in him. He would talk for hours on his characters and stuff. If you came up to him and asked him about stuff, he would take the time to sit with you and talk. Jonathan was a genuine, down-to-earth person, and to this day, I will challenge anybody to tell me different of what he was like. So do not believe those internet rumors about Jonathan. He was a stand-up human being, and we're going to remember Jonathan as light and love. Thank you.
And I would like to invite Paula. We are probably going to stop our live stream for those who are joining us virtually during Paul's speech, because we are going to be playing some of Jonathan's work, and it's very sacred and special. And so we would ask all of our media friends as well to respect that. This is something we don't want to be used otherwise, okay?
Thank you, Erica. Yeah, speech part is okay to live stream or tape or whatever, but not the sacred singing that you're going to hear. I came in from Chicago today. Last night I was emceeing a memorial tribute concert for Jill Sobule, and in the space of a month, we've lost two great American queer artists, one to fire and one to violence. I directed a movie that is not released yet because it's being animated, and I'm not Disney Pixar, so it's going to take a while. But Jonathan did me and my team, the audiences, to be the enormous honor of voicing the spirit of healing in the wind in the Badlands of South Dakota. Our young heroine is dealing with depression and the later in life results of childhood sexual abuse. And she walks to the edge of a very tall Badlands peak. And the wind seems to be blowing her from all directions, from